Hey everybody, it's Holly from the Urban Home Center, and guess what we're doing today? Can you tell? We're going to make some soap. I'm here with two special guests. One is my sister Heidi, and one is my friend Shelly, who technically is a relative, but we don't really go with that very much. Shelly and I have a very long background. Do you remember when we were younger, in our younger days? Actually, all three of us and many others played on a volleyball team, summer and winter. So we did that for many, many years, and then Shelly and I did our first skydive together.
Yes, we did.
Have you gone back?
No, I have not.
I've gone back three times.
Have you?
Yeah.
And we did a lot of girls' weekends.
We did. We have had plenty of laughs along the way. And then we all moved away. So Shelly actually reached out to me via social media because she was watching my Urban Home Center videos and said, "Hey, Holly, I make soap. Do you want to learn how?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." So I'm so excited because you guys remember this? This is my wax disc. This is going to be a part of the soap making process today. So we're going to kind of just hand it over to Shelly. Heidi's never done this either.
I've not.
We have no idea. All we do know is that this is potentially a science project that could go bad. But
It sometimes does go bad.
we don't have any idea what we need to do. Shelly is going to direct the two of us, which could be comical and could be dangerous. But we're gonna see, what do we need to do first?
The first thing we need to do is gather our ingredients, which we have.
You want to go through what we all need here? There's a lot.
There is a lot.
There's a ton of oils.
Main ingredient is lye, 100% lye. You need to use 100% lye drain cleaner. You can't use like Drano because it's not 100% lye. There's other emulsifiers in there that.
So we are already a little weirded out with this because it sounds not like a soap product when it is drain cleaner. I mean,
it turns into hand cleaner. All
Yeah,
soap
that's
is made with lye. If it's not made with lye
Mm.
or a derivative of lye, it's not soap. It would be considered either a detergent or like a body wash or
every
cream.
kind of soap has lye in it.
Every kind of soap has lye in it.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
The only way it couldn't is if you made it with potash, which would be the ash left over from a fire.
You can make soap from that?
Yeah, that's how soap originated back in the, I think, 800s.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, so women were washing their laundry down by the river on washboards, and apparently there was a fire at some point, and the water and the ash got together
Sure.
with some oil and
Magically made soap.
made soap, and that's how they first used soap.
We were talking prior to starting the recording today. Heidi and I have a grandma, and actually it would be,
My grandpa's sister.
yeah, our grandparents are siblings, which is, it's just weird because we didn't really know that when we started hanging out. Anyway, Heidi and I have a memory of our grandma. You guys maybe have heard me mention my grandma Chicky. She had a lot of chickens. So anyway, hard to believe, right? Grandma Chicky had a bedroom upstairs that we would stay in, and there was like a spare bed. It was almost like a day bed that was mounded full of bars of soap that we were strictly prohibited from touching because of the lye.
That's
That
what
was
I
it?
remember. I'm not sure if that was the reason.
I don't remember really being told to not touch it, so she maybe cared more about you.
Maybe.
But I do remember it smelled a little weird.
Yes.
Like it wasn't this floral essence. It was just kind of hardcore. And you just said that was she put that soap in the wringer washer.
She did. That
For
I
laundry.
remember.
So anyway, super interesting.
Yeah.
I find it cool that not only have I started to raise chickens like my grandma Chicky did, here I am learning how to make soap as she did as well. So
And we
super
feel
cool.
like it's the same recipe.
Yeah.
It won't be the same recipe as this. So Grandma Chicky's recipe was probably the same as my Grandma Dolmeyer's recipe, which was
Right.
leftover bacon grease, whatever was in the kitchen, and
That is bizarre.
and either tallow if they butchered beef,
Yeah.
or lard if they butchered a pig, and that's all it was. They didn't usually add
Those are
extra
all things
oils
that
into
Grandma
it.
Chicky had.
Yes.
So you would leave the bacon grease out if you were making laundry detergent, but you would put that in if you were going to make
Hand
soap for
soap.
your hands. Yeah, but laundry detergent you usually just use. When I've done it, I just use just the pig fat. But what do you call it? Rendered. It's like, what are the words? Yeah. So, and I don't like rendering lard because it smells in my house. Don't like it. But yeah, that's the original soap. That's
Huh.
what all soap was made out of, either tallow or lard, and lye and water, and that was it. And your grandma Chicky was also probably lying to you, because once the soap saponifies, and that means that the lye water mixture mixes in with the oils, and that takes, where it's going to take us an hour. Within 24 hours, there's no longer any lingering lye. The soap will be caustic, which would be damaging to your skin for about 4 weeks, but after that,
Oh, maybe
There's-
that's why.
there's nothing wrong with it. While it was curing, in the curing stage, it might have been, but she would have had it like out in the open air, not stacked up against each other.
It
at
was
that
stacked
point.
up, and there was like a big old bed sheet or something, linens
she-
on it. I don't know. It was like hoarding.
She was yanking your chain.
She's probably like, I put a lot of work into this soap. Don't
Don't
touch it.
touch it, yeah.
That maybe was it.
And if she was waiting to grind it down into laundry detergent, maybe she just didn't want you to mess with it.
Probably that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that.
We can make up our own story.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay, so what do we need to do?
So we're gonna make a sensitive skin soap. So we're using things other than lard or tallow. We're gonna be using olive oil. We're gonna be using a bunch of different oils, avocado, jojoba, palm oil. They each have different qualities or different reasons for putting them in.
Okay.
For instance, I've got a few things here. Beeswax hardens your soap. So if you're using some of these other lighter soaps that make with the soap runny, you can add beeswax, and that keeps the bar of soap hard. Coconut oil, which we're not using here, is a cleansing oil.
Okay.
If you want a bar of soap that's more cleansing, but we're looking for more conditioning and more lathery, so we're using some other oils.
There are 1 million recipes out there.
It's endless, completely endless,
Okay.
because there's so many different oils, both hard oils and soft oils, combinations of them. You could go on forever and ever and ever.
Do you have a favorite?
This one is my favorite, the sensitive
Okay.
skin, just because it's so soft in your hands, and it's not really good at cleansing, but it just feels so good.
Well, I tell you what, in a cold Minnesota, which is today, it hurts to be outside today, it's hard on our skin. So I think this is like the perfect recipe for us today.
I think so too.
Have you
Okay.
ever done any that has got like a grit in it?
Oh,
We were talking about
good
that.
question. So I don't like that grit. You know, the pumice stuff.
Yes.
You can add pumice to it and make it gritty, but I don't like that. So I found a recipe in an old book or whatever it was, that you can make soap with pumpkin, the actual pumpkin, not pumpkin seed, but just the pumpkin, and putting that in there. All the guys in my family, I gave them bars of that soap, and they loved it because it cleaned their hands without that grit.
Wow.
But it's really good at cleaning like garage grease. You're working on your car, for them working on their tractors, but it really cleaned their hands without getting them dry and nasty like some of those pumice soaps
Interesting.
do. Yeah, that was a cool find.
I feel like pumpkin is a really important ingredient in many things. Like it's a natural dewormer for chickens, if you didn't know.
And it helps my dogs when they have upset stomachs.
Yeah, mine too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
Okay.
pumpkin.
Pumpkin's good. We're a big fan of pumpkin.
Yay, pumpkin. Okay.
All right.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up the oil so that everything melts. So we're going to put the liquids and the solids together into the crock pot.
Okay. So I've already shaved off from the wax disc the 1 ounce. I found this a little crazy. So this is the loaf pan that we're going to be pouring into. That's going to put only 1 ounce of beeswax for that entire loaf.
For 2 loaves.
Oh, for
We'll
two.
have 2 loaves.
It just doesn't seem like that much, and like it's going to even.
Make a difference? It
Yeah.
makes a huge difference.
Okay.
Huge
well,
difference.
so is this on?
It is not on. If you want to turn it on high, that's 1 ounce.
It goes
of beeswax.
directly in?
Yep,
This is going to take the longest to melt, I would imagine.
it
because
does. It
It's
does.
the hardest consistency.
One rule of thumb is if you ever use castor oil, which I like to use because it is conditioning, you need to use beeswax because castor oil makes soap kind of runny.
Oh,
So that's just one rule of thumb. Olive oil too can make soap a little bit slimy, so the beeswax will help with that too.
gotta love that beeswax.
I love the beeswax.
I'm so glad that I decided to render it, and I had no idea what I was going to be using it for, but here we are.
We measure by weight, not volume. So you never use like fluid ounces. We just do everything by weight, even if it's a
Okay.
liquid. So I'm going to put this on here and then
Zero it out.
tear it. Zero it out. Okay.
Okay, so now we've put the first ingredient that we put in the crock pot was the wax, and that's only because that's going to be the one ingredient that's going to take the longest to melt because it's the hardest consistency. So now what is the next step?
The next step will be 4 ounces of palm oil.
Okay, we have zeroed out the scale.
Mhm.
Heidi's going to put the palm oil in. Is this all ingredients that you can just find at the store?
Nowadays
never
you
bought
can.
this.
You can get that at a lot of nutrition stores.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you'll find it in the hair care area of a bigger grocery store.
Hair care.
Oh, interesting.
Or facial care. I'm not sure what it's used for.
Okay, now I'm a little over 4.
Okay, you can just grab some out.
Like, it's important to be.
Exact. Are you kidding? Our grandparents never measured anything.
Wow.
So no, the most important thing to be exact is with your lye and water mixture.
Okay.
And the fact that you need the entire mixture to be 40% lye and water. Those are the important
That's
measurements.
the key.
But otherwise, yeah, you can be a little bit off. Some people are like,
Okay.
oh, you got to measure in grams because it's got to be super precise.
Okay.
I disagree with that. It based on our grandparents.
Yeah.
They
also eat pig's feet, so.
and chicken feet. Okay, so we can go ahead and put that
Put that
in
in
the
there.
crock pot. And you can use a spatula or that, whichever one you want. Okay, the next one would be 10 ounces of cocoa butter. You want to do that one?
Sure. I understand we're going to use this and another
probably some
container.
extra. Yep.
Oh, this is
Cocoa butter you can also buy in a lot of stores. You want to re-tear it out because there's just a little bit left over in there. Yep. Good job. There.
okay. What are we doing? 10 ounces?
10 ounces. Yep.
So this stuff is kind of looks like just white wax.
Mm-hmm. And this also takes a little bit longer to melt. So that's 7.3, so we're not going to need too much more. Put this over here.
Oh, so close.
9.9.
Are you kidding me? I mean, like a crumb.
Bingo.
On the
Perfect.
money.
Perfect. All right.
Okay.
Throw
That goes in?
there. Yep. Then we're going to need 3 ounces of castor oil. Castor oil.
Great. Is that this one?
Yep. And these specialty oils I typically will get from a company like Brambleberry, but you can also get them. Castor you can get anywhere, almost.
Don't they use this on movies all the time when you're trying to make somebody throw up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what do I do if it's too much?
Pour it out.
How do you? Oh, jeez.
There is that cup right there that you can pour any
Oh.
excess into.
Let's do that.
That's why I learned to empty the container every single time I measure. I used to
Sure.
just add it in, and then when you make a mistake, you're kind of in a little bit of trouble.
So you knew this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, though.
Yeah. Oh,
Look at that.
On the money with that.
Good pour. Very
Okay.
good pour. Okay, we got the beeswax, palm oil, castor oil, cocoa butter, jojoba, 2 ounces. And I said it. I'm so happy.
You want to do that one?
Oh, you're doing great.
Okay. 2 ounces. Jeez, now I gotta tear this out again.
Yeah, it's a good idea to tear out every time just
Because
because
there's.
leftover.
Yep.
What do we need? 2?
2 ounces.
I'm gonna do a slower pour this time. See if I.
You'll be a
don't go over it.
professional. And you might be wondering, why do I use these specific bowls? You can use basically glass, plastic, as long as it's not metal. But I like to use these because they're grippy on the bottom. They don't slide on the table.
Good.
Learned
point,
my
too.
lesson the hard way on that one.
How long have you been making soap?
About 15 years.
And just started because.
I was thinking about my great grandma and how she used to love to make soap. She made soap all the time. She made, even years after she passed, we still had soap from her because, as you know, grandma's
They ordered
made a ton of soap.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just was thinking about her and like I wanted to do that.
That's
And I
cool.
talked to my aunt about it, and they have pigs, so she's like, "Oh, I'll get you some lard as long as you render it," because she didn't want to render it because it makes the whole house stink.
Yep.
So
Yes.
I'm like, "Okay, I will." And then she's like, "Well, then will you make me laundry detergent too?" So that just started a whole.
You snowballed it.
Yeah, snowballed into everything, and then other cousins were like, "I want to learn," so then we all started learning together and doing things, and one of them sells soap now.
As a business.
But if somebody doesn't pick it up, we're going to lose that art.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been doing this for many, many years, and I'm always about learning something new, so it was fun for me.
But not as many years as you would expect, because common people didn't start using soap to wash their bodies until the 1700s.
Yes.
Disgusting. Only the wealthy people used it, and not that many years before that. Otherwise, it was just for cleaning laundry. They didn't wash themselves
Oh,
with soap.
thank God I don't live in that
Oh,
area.
Yeah,
I
right.
know, I know, I know.
Okay,
Okay, now we're gonna add 25 ounces of olive oil, which is this.
25 ounces.
So remember, this is pounds and ounces. So now you have to do math.
Oh, I don't.
16 ounces is a pound. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So 1 pound, 9 ounces.
Thanks, Shelly.
You're welcome.
Oh,
On the spot. Good job.
woo! This is stressful. Just kidding.
You've got this. The next
This
one
does not look
No.
good at all.
Nope, sure doesn't.
because it's just a bunch of oil.
Yeah.
Solid, liquid.
Okay.
And then next is, the last oil is 8 ounces of avocado oil. So if you're wondering how I picked the oils and how I picked all the ounces.
I am wondering that.
Okay, because I do make my own recipes. There's something called a soap calculator that if you just Google soap calculator, you type in the different kind of soaps that you have, and you can come up with recipes, and it will tell you some basic qualities like hardness, if it's how much it cleans, the cleaning value, how conditioning it is, and how bubbly it will be when you wash your hands.
So it's
with
totally a personal experience.
It is.
Or preference.
There's also the hardness scale, which I can't remember what it is. I wrote it down because I never remember. It needs to be between 25 and 54 on the hardness scale. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make a bar.
Oh.
Oh.
So that's, and then like cleansing, you don't want to get too cleansing because it's going to hurt your skin. So there's different zones that you need to be
Sure.
in. So if the mixture that you decided on, it's like, oh no, that's not hard enough, or that's whatever, you can just change it up, recalculate it, and then make whatever you want with whatever you have.
Are we done with measuring?
We are done with measuring in there. We are going to come back later. I'm going to scrape this out. Will you scrape it out a little bit more?
Oh, sure.
We're going to come back and we're going to pour the oils into that when they're fully melted.
Oh. And then are we pouring? Okay, I'll just wait.
And then we're going to pour the lye mixture into that, and then we'll watch it saponify.
You and your big words, Shelly.
Big words means it's no longer lye and water and oil. It's now actually soap. It's just,
Okay,
it's a
how's
chemical reaction. That's beautiful.
Nicely
Thank you.
done.
Thank you. Okay. So what we do next is you can put the cover on and wait for that to melt. That's
Okay.
probably the part that takes the longest, is waiting for the soap
Okay.
to melt.
Anything we can do in the meantime?
In the meantime, we can measure out our lye in a plastic bag. I do this, and I don't know if everybody else does it, but I measure it in a plastic bag because it's very caustic. I don't want it flying everywhere. I measure it ahead of time so that when I need to pour it in, I've got it into something that I can pour slowly and something that's not going to touch my hands. And
Okay.
also then I can throw away the plastic bag so I don't have to worry about lye touching anything.
This is the part that makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
think
why
I'm
we
going to be
have-
an observer.
That's
I think I will mask up.
Yep. We're going to mask up and wear gloves. We're going to do.
We need somebody with confidence to do this.
We don't have to mask up until we add it to the water.
Okay.
But I do wear gloves when I'm even measuring it out, just because I don't want it to touch my hands. I don't think it would react until it hits water.
I'd rather not find out if it does.
I
But
agree.
there's water in our skin, so I don't want to do that.
Why take a chance?
Yep, you're right. So we need 9 ounces of lye. So 9 ounces of lye. I'm probably gonna have to open a couple containers.
Are we making her do this? I think so.
I'm comfortable doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So with my finger on the top of the lid, I shake it to make sure that there's no chunks in there, because I don't want chunky lye going into my water.
Who wants chunky lye?
Nobody
Not
wants
me.
chunky lye.
What is it?
I know, I have so many questions.
What does this cost? Just the lye. Like who buys lye? What do you buy this for?
I get it. The only place you can find it at is at the hardware store, because even like Lowe's, Home Depot,
Lowe's,
they
drain
don't
opener.
they carry drain opener, but it's not 100% lye. Theirs is like the name brands that have mixtures in there that I don't know, do other things other than just lye. So it has to be a hardware store. They love me at the hardware store. They always ask, like, oh my gosh, your drains must be really bad. It's about $4 a jar.
Oh, so it's not terrible.
No. And it's just when you pour it down the drain and then you add water, it gets really, really hot, and then it melts any clogs that are going down your drain.
Yeah.
I think nowadays there's probably other products that are maybe a little less damaging on your drains than lye, so maybe that's why the other places don't stock it, but hardware stores still do.
I've never looked for it.
I haven't either.
If you want to order it online, which you can, you get on a national database because
They're tracking you. Mm-hmm.
because I think you can make bombs with it.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah.
Because it will explode if you add.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, there's got to be all kinds of rules and regulations
Yes.
around the sale.
That's why there's the saying, do what you oughta, add lye to the water. Because
Yeah.
if you add water to the lye, it's going to explode.
Oh, thanks for a
Great.
limerick. A successful limerick is exactly what we need.
Okay.
I feel like I gotta like.
Tear
I
this
know.
again. There, perfect.
Let's make sure everyone can see.
I don't think you have to do this, but I don't ever want to spill lye in my eyeballs.
Do you want? Should we be masking up?
No, not for this part. When we add it to the water, you definitely have to.
She looks so cute, like a little chemist.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is. I knew it wasn't going to be enough. 6.6.
So it's almost got the same texture as like
Looks like
salt.
Salt or sugar.
Or salt.
I've never seen lye up close.
Same.
That's because your grandma wouldn't let you near that bed full of soap.
I know it.
I can't see her doing this though either.
I can't either.
So back in their day, oh shoot.
Perfect.
Back in their day, lye came in these 12-ounce containers. So they just knew that for 12 ounces of lye, you need whatever it was, 20 ounces of water
Yeah, right.
or whatever. And so they just knew, so they never really measured lye back then. But for us, we're not making giant cauldrons of soap like they did.
Right.
Which my grandma literally had a cauldron outside, like kind of off in the woods, that she would make the soap in. I totally thought it was a witch thing.
Do you remember her making it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, I don't either.
And my great grandma would make it in the basement. She wouldn't let us go down there, but yeah, I remember grandma making it outside. She didn't like to. I think she was terrified of the explosion factor.
who wouldn't be?
Right.
Okay, so now we have it measured out and sealed. So that way we don't have to hurry up and measure it later. So what we will be doing is we're going to be measuring the water into here and then pouring the lye into the water very, very slowly
Okay.
and then stirring it, and that's when the
Okay. But we're
Fumes.
first though we have to wait for this to get
Yeah.
done melting.
yeah.
Okay.
We can measure out the water if you want to.
Sure. I can do that.
So we'll tear out this.
Least likely for explosions when just pouring water.
So 25 ounces of water. Remember there's pounds in there, so we got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So 1 pound, 9 ounces. Same as the olive oil.
That was close. Oh.
A little bit over.
Tablespoon too much.
All right, get your handy dandy measuring cup.
Look at that.
Whew, perfect.
Okay. So now we just hurry up and wait. Okay, Shelly, all the things are melted and blended.
Yes, even the beeswax that took forever and ever to
Not
to
forever
melt.
and ever.
It just
We've been
takes-
chatting.
Yes, and a good chat it was. So I've turned off the crock pot and I'm going to transfer, because the crock pot keeps things hot for a long, long time.
Mhm.
So I'm going to transfer the oils into this container with the bottom that doesn't slide.
Non-skid, that is key.
Yeah, that is very key. I learned the hard way. So that it'll cool down a little bit. Right now we're at about 160 degrees. We want to get this below 140 degrees, preferably between 110 and 140 degrees.
Before you pour it into the...
Before we mix the lye
Oh,
mixture
see,
together.
I'm so anxious to get it into the
know.
loaf
So
thing.
well, we're gonna get there. So I'm gonna pour this in. There are different philosophies about what temperature the oil should be.
Oh man,
I
we're
know.
making Shelly do this because this is her house.
Oh, I've wrecked things before. It doesn't matter. Pot holder's got some on it.
Yeah, they did. Get as much out as we can.
Yep. Ooh, thank you. not everybody uses a liner. I don't want you to burn yourself. I like to. It just keeps the crock pot clean. And this crock pot is only for making soap. I don't use it for making food. You could, just because it's just oils in there, and a lot of those are cooking oils. But I still, it just kind of weirds me out, so I have a special one just.
That is much like anything that is touched with melt when I melt wax. It's a kind of shot. Like you said, though, you could still continue to use this crock pot, but I get it.
It makes me nervous. So I'm going to get the crock pot out of the way, and the stick blender is the next thing that we're going to use, just because the crock pot's hot. There, we can slide this over here a little bit.
You had said earlier, like, our grandparents didn't have a stick blender.
No.
And it would take them hours to stir.
Hours. It'll take us a few minutes to get it to what we call trace.
These words.
So what trace is, you know, when you're making like maybe frosting or something, you've got, or maybe you're beating eggs. I think eggs is probably better. So you're beating eggs. Eggs are a liquid, and then eventually you can like lift them up a little bit, and you get like little bit of a peak.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you're mixing it and you lift up with the spatula or whatever, and you can see it stay on top, that's trace. That means it's starting to solidify. At that point, it's soap.
And become soap.
And yes, and it is soap.
Ah.
That when it hits the very first trace is when you're going to want to add any flavors or colors, or any, like if you want to put pumice in it or whatever, you do that, and then you just mix it a little bit more before you pour it into the mold.
So there's kind of a timing thing.
It's a rush at that point, because once you hit
Rush
trace,
and panic. Okay.
All right.
once you hit trace, you've got to get into the molds. Otherwise, if it solidifies in the bowl, then it's kind of a pain. It's still workable. You can remelt it. You can do things with it, but it's kind of a pain. I've never actually had it harden in the bowl. No.
Okay, well
But I've had it where I've had to like smooth it out. It's no longer liquid. I've had that before, but.
So you've got the two molds there. You've got some other molds here. Do you?
Oh yeah.
Can you choose?
Yeah, we can choose. So these are silicone molds that I sometimes use if I want to be fancy, or if I'm doing something for a holiday. I've got some Easter ones. I've got some other ones. This is some kind of a baking silicone dish that I saw that I thought, oh, those would make cute bars, and they are. They just slip out of your hand easy in the shower, so I don't use them. Use them a lot. These are just your basic molds. I got these at a hobby store years and years ago. And so it just makes them a loaf, and then you can take one of our fancy knives, or I don't know what you call these. I think they're baking tools, but you can just then slice them to whatever size you want. Yeah, make the ends pretty, or make them flat. I think they're something to do with making bread. I'm not sure. But that's typically what I use. These molds, you can have silicone molds, you can have plastic molds, you can use a shoebox and just put parchment paper around the shoebox and then lift that out. The olden days, they were wooden molds. I think wood is kind of the best, rather than plastic, because we're going to leave it in the mold for a couple of days, and it just cools better, more evenly, I think, when it's in wood rather than plastic. But that is what
Here's what we have, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're using what we have.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mix the lye solution and water. So we're going to suit up.
This is when the chemistry happens.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I've only got 2 sets of goggles.
Okay. Heidi's
So
gonna
I'm just going to stay out of the way.
I'm going to have you actually probably go into a different, like that room.
You are serious about this.
I am serious about it.
I am going to.
I would like you, however, you know what? As long as you put the mask on, you can stand right over there.
Wow, she's so strict, Heidi.
Okay.
It's all right.
This does give off fumes. Sorry, that was probably really muffled. This does give off fumes that we don't want to breathe in. We also don't want those fumes in our eyes, because that scares me, even though our grandparents didn't do it that way.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh, I feel like
Again, the rule is do what you oughta, add lye to the water. So we never want to add water to the lye. We need to add lye to the water very slowly so that it doesn't lump up. And then it's going to give off a lot of heat. We're not going to lean over it so that it's not going into our face.
Quick question: If you did that in opposite order, what would happen?
You're going to have an explosion. It's going to get really, really hot, really, really fast.
Wow.
Same thing happens, like later, we're going to have the oil and we're going to mix the lye solution into the oils. If you would do it reverse, you can also have a soap explosion.
soap explosion.
A soap explosion. Okay, so I am gonna pour and I'm
Oh
gonna
my
have you
gosh.
stir. How's that?
I'm a hot mess right now.
Are you willing to do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So remember that this is going to be about 175 degrees once we put the lye in there, so it's gonna get hot really, really fast. So
Am I pouring slowly?
I'm gonna pour slowly and you're gonna
I
stir
stir.
slowly. Yep. Okay, and maybe I should have opened
I don't know
this.
what could possibly go wrong.
With us? What, 100 billion things? Okay, I'm gonna have you start sort of stirring first, and then I'll slowly start pouring. Okay.
When it explodes, does it give off warning signs?
No, not to my knowledge. I have never had an explosion because I do what I oughta and lie to the water.
I'm weirdly nervous.
You should be weirdly nervous. Is it getting a milky color?
It is.
Okay, so that's what we want is a milky color. That's actually making the lye solution. And then we're gonna stir it until it's clear again.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
that's when all the lye will be dissolved and it's no longer considered lye.
Is it considered non-explosive? When
No.
it's clear?
Nope.
Don't cough.
It's recommended that we do this outdoors, but we can't because it's 2 degrees below zero.
Yes, as I said earlier, it hurts to be outside today.
Okay, this is done. I will seal this up and throw that in the garbage so nobody touches lye.
And we didn't blow up.
Yay! Now you just keep stirring until it's clear.
How long is this going to take?
Probably less than a minute. So now we've got 2 pots here of hot product. Hot product? I like
Yeah.
it. I'm going to take measurements and look at the temperatures of them. Some books say that you need to get them as close to the same temperature as possible, but other books say it doesn't matter as long as they're between 110 and 140 degrees. I used to try really, really, really hard to get them to the same temperature, but then it would end up getting so low that I would run into troubles, and I think that might have happened with the last batch of soap that I made. I think I just got the temperature too close to 110, and then it gets too cold and too hard too fast, and it doesn't cool down and solidify the way it should. It kind of separates ingredients out a little bit.
I got to tell you, I'm so surprised at how it's complicated.
It is, considering that, yeah, people used to just do it in a big cauldron in their yard after they butchered a pig. It's true.
So I feel like it's getting clear. I can also see the steam.
Oh my.
Can't
Yeah,
you?
you're right. It just steamed up my glasses.
Yeah.
Now I want you to feel around slowly and feel if you can feel any, like...
With my finger?
No, oh gosh, no. No, I want you to keep your finger in your skin. Just to feel with the spatula if you can feel any pebbles or crystals in there still.
I cannot.
Wonderful.
It
All right.
seriously looks like water.
Perfect. Okay, good. Then you can leave the spatula in there because we don't want that spatula laying around. So, what would have happened if you had have put the spatula out and set it on the table?
I don't know. The table would have burned up?
I don't know, but it would... I don't think the table would burn up, but if you touched your skin would probably eat at your skin, which is why we have a spray bottle of vinegar. Vinegar counteracts lye.
So this is only here just for safety?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
That's it. And then after we're done, when we clean up, I'm going to spray the vinegar into the bowl that we use lye so that there can't be any more activation of the lye.
I'm assuming you use these bowls much like your crock pot. It's a one. This
Yeah,
is only
exactly.
for soap making.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so at this point, we are able to take off our glasses.
Cool. Woo.
There.
Right.
But I'm going to leave the gloves on anytime that we're touching the lye or anywhere near the lye. So I'll put this over here. Okay. So I'm going to take the temperatures.
Heidi, it's safe to come back in
Safe
if you
to
want.
come back in.
It doesn't smell. Doesn't smell at all.
I can smell it.
Can you? I cannot smell it.
Yeah, maybe just, I don't know why.
I've got a cough drop in, so I can't smell anything.
You know what? Maybe
You wanna
that's what
be-
I'm smelling.
Could be.
That's funny.
All right.
Heidi, would you mind grabbing a paper towel or maybe two paper towels so that we can wipe off the thermometer? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so
We'll
this
keep them
one,
handy.
this one right now, and water seems to cool down a lot faster than the oil, and I'm not sure why. I don't know that chemical reason. So
You
we're
don't have
at.
a fancy word for that?
I don't.
Hmm.
I don't.
Shocked.
So we're at 143.8
Okay.
for the oil. Ooh. And we're at 171.9
That's insane.
for the water. So I am going to have Holly slowly stir the water with the paddle or the spatula.
Paddle.
But I want you to hang on to the side just so that it doesn't spill. Thank you. I just want you to slowly, to get some air in there so that it'll cool down faster.
Oh, I see.
Because it's a little too hot. Oh, I can feel the heat from this one too. So some people will put that in an ice bath, put the bowl in an ice bath to cool it down faster. I don't know that we need to be that much faster. It saves like a minute or two, so it's not really that big of a deal. But we just need to get it down below
Closer.
140.
But
Yep.
as you were pouring that lye in and you were stirring, I mean, it is a two-person job.
I do it by myself a lot, but
How do you do it by yourself?
That's a good point.
Well, I have it in the bag, so I'm stirring and I'm pouring.
Yeah.
When
At the
you're
same
when
time.
you are that close to exploding, I would want a second person helping me.
Oh, God. Hopefully, I'm never that close to exploding because I do what I oughta.
I mean,
It's true.
I don't want you to ever explode, Shelly.
Well, thank you. I don't think I want to explode either. So right now the lye is clear. The
Yep.
lye solution is clear.
Yeah.
The oils are a kind of a, what'd you call that, marigold, like a yellow,
To me, it
green,
looks like maple syrup.
maple syrup. Oh, that's, yeah, like raw maple syrup
Mhm.
especially. Okay. And so when we start to slowly pour in the lye, it's going to start turning more of a cream color. And you'll see it. You'll see like a little line that's starting to turn cream. That's saponification, when the two chemicals are coming together for a reaction that turns it from lye and oil into soap.
I gotta tell you, I don't know if I feel the need to do this.
It's
I
not
don't-
hitting your
I
gotta
don't
do it
know.
button.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, it's cool.
it is cool. I do have whole another appreciation for people who do this.
Yeah.
Crafters and
Yes.
keep stirring. It's at 156. And I mean, I use a lot of different oils because I think it's fun to experiment with different oils.
Sure.
But some
Yeah.
people will just use like maybe palm oil, and a simple one would be palm oil, olive oil, and maybe coconut oil. They might just use 3.
So it doesn't need to be this complicated.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I just like the sensitive skin one, which I don't know. But yeah, you can use canola oil. Well, then you need more beeswax in it if you're using canola
To make it harder.
to make it harder.
I know someone.
Yes, you do. But yeah, if you've got very, very common is just the lye solution, olive oil, coconut oil, and maybe some other oil, avocado or palm or something. That's very common.
Is there any recipe that you've run across that does not use lye? Is there a lye substitute?
Potash. You could use potash, which would
Okay.
be, and you can buy potash. I think people put it in their farm fields still.
It sounds familiar as a fertilizer. Of some
Yeah, yeah. You
In
can
gardens.
use potash. And then there's another type of lye, and I don't remember the name of it, that you would use if you're making liquid soap. So it wouldn't
Okay.
be just 100% lye. It's a different name, but it's chemically the same as lye.
Sure.
It's just a different name, and that's what's in liquid. So I've never made liquid soap because of that. I just get the cheap old grocery store, hardware store lye.
So it sounds like lye is a key component.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only soap on the market that does not have lye, and it's not actually soap, is Dove. It's a beauty bar. It's not soap because it doesn't have lye, and that's why it's so much smoother.
And sensitive skin people, always recommended for that.
But this recipe has lye in it and for sensitive skin. All right, I'm gonna try it.
You know, and maybe another hesitation for me to not want to do this. I mean, I don't love it so much that I want to buy all of the equipment. Which,
well, it's not much.
Right, you're right, it isn't.
We're at 150. Keep going. So I bought the stick blender at Goodwill or whatever the thrift store was.
I do love
Thrift stores.
Yeah.
So I got the stick blender there. I got the 2 bowls.
also at thrift store. You could.
I couldn't because I needed a rubber bottom. I really wanted that, so I actually paid money for these. I can't remember where I got them from, but yeah. And then I bought the 2 molds, which you can make or use a shoebox or use.
Oh, that's true.
You can improvise.
Yeah, you can use a plastic pail and put parchment paper in it. You could use. I mean, there's so many options that you can do. You can find old things around the house. I got these from my mom's house that she wasn't using. That's why I think they're for baking, because she was a big baker. Crock pot.
Yeah, and everybody has those.
This was an old one that, yeah.
Okay, you're right.
So it
really wouldn't be that much of an investment.
No, thermometer, couple of spatulas, again, local thrift
Probably your
store.
highest would be you need an accurate scale.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
best thing, and that was $25.
Yeah.
So it wasn't very expensive,
I don't have a digital one, but
and a digital works a lot better.
Oh,
But, so
for sure.
Yeah, the investment isn't much.
no.
And you can buy, you don't have to go to the fancy places to get the oils. You can get whatever kind of, use whatever kind of oil you want.
Safety
So
gear.
Safety gear, yeah. Well, yeah, I did pay money for that, I guess. That's and I feel like I let the temperature get down too low. This time we're probably going to do it a little bit higher because we can. It's at 136.6, so the oil is in the zone.
It's in the zone.
And
Come on, baby.
nope.
Still too
We're
hot.
over. Yep. 145.
What is it, baby?
Between 140 and 110.
So close.
It is. It's really getting close. One of the downsides about using this kind of bowl that's got the grippy on the bottom
Holds some
is
heat.
insulates. So that's, yeah. But I'd rather have that than it sliding all
Oh,
over the table
absolutely.
and onto the floor. So I'm willing to put up with that.
So if you mix it when it's too hot, what happens?
That I don't know because I've never
Never
mixed
done
it
it.
when it's
Okay.
too hot. I think if you mix it when it's too hot, it's just going to take longer to get to trace so that it
Oh, sure.
gets thick enough. And
So either
then
way, you're waiting.
Right, you're gonna wait. Yeah, I'd just rather not stir that long, especially if you're doing it by hand, which I did once. Stir by hand instead of using a stick blender, and after that I bought a stick blender. But yeah, our grandparents. I mean, my grandma's cauldron was probably that big, so she'd be up
Imagine
there with
how
a
long it took them.
big wooden stick out there. Like that's a whole afternoon of. Although lard tends to trace faster than, like,
Still.
olive oil would be all day. That would take that long. I can't even imagine.
Those people worked hard.
Yeah, those Italians with their
You said
steel soap or however you pronounce it. Oof, yuck. But think about it. If you have a cauldron and you get the whole farm neighborhood together in one day, you have enough soap for
The world.
for a couple of years. I mean, really.
I suppose it's not much
Yeah.
different when they, on this day we're going to butcher a pig, or
Right.
on this day we're going to plant a field of potatoes, or
Right.
whatever, and they all work together to have that supply.
Right. But this day we're gonna make sauerkraut.
Or that.
Yummy, yummy. Okay, we're at 140.4, so let's do a little bit more.
Even a 0.4 she's not going to tolerate.
Nope, not gonna do it.
She's so strict.
I'm a
Yes.
rule follower.
Great.
Oh, 137. 137.1.
Is that approved?
Yes, that is approved, and the oil is at 125.8.
Also approved?
Also approved, yeah. Okay. So I am going to slowly
This has to be done slowly because
Reason number one, I don't want to splash anywhere.
mm,
And number two, it is a chemical reaction, so I want to take my time with it and not make something happen quickly because I don't want the heat to rise.
makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Would you mind spraying vinegar in that bowl?
Sure
too?
can.
Okay. So what, we're going to mix it thoroughly and make sure everything's mixed together. Hopefully we don't see any more swirls. And once it's fully mixed together, then we're going to use the stick or the immersion blender and bring it to trace. Which traces, when you go like this, it's going to leave some of the oil soap mixture on top. It won't blend right in. Can you smell it?
I can just smell the vinegar.
I can smell the vinegar.
It's starting to smell like
But
soap.
the soap's got a smell too.
Mhm.
I don't want to stick my face in there just yet.
Probably a good call.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I just got a whiff of it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
It's a really clean, fresh.
I'm not really sure what I'm looking for, but it
To
looks
see
good
if
to
it-
me.
You know, like when you've got like oil floating on top, that's what would happen if it's not mixed properly. You would see like a little,
Oh, I see.
either a layer of oil or it would be kind of separating. But it looks like it's all.
Yeah, it looks good to me.
So I see a little bit of swirling and I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm going to do a little bit of hand mixing just to avoid the different color swirls. Can you see how it's getting lighter and lighter?
Yes.
What's wrong with having the swirls in there though? Wouldn't that just make the bar of soap cool?
No, because then you're going to have too much oil in one section and too
Oh.
much lime in another section. And the oil will probably sink to the bottom.
So
And
it
then you just
would
have
make a bad bar of soap.
It would make a bad
It
bar.
literally
so-
would separate.
Mm-hmm. But you can do with different swirls like you're talking about with color. Like if we had a food color or some kind of a, I don't know, some kind of a pigment, maybe charcoal or something, and you put it in there and you could swirl it, it is really pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to stick blend it again a little more. Okay, so now I'm going to test to see if there's trace. So I'll lift this up and look to see if any of it stays on top. And you see it's just about there. It looks like it just wants to leave a little bit on top. So I'm going to blend it a little bit more. You see how when I lifted it up, you can see where I was, and it's almost like pudding. That's exactly what we want. That's called trace. This would be when you first get the trace, this would be when you want to put in any colorings, well, not flavorings, scents, and we're going to be using apple sage, a half a bottle.
And that's just eyeballing it?
Mm-hmm. You can use more. I just choose not to. That's perfect. You can use like 1% of your batch of soap to be something else for just fragrance or for color, whatever, without ruining the soap or changing the properties of the soap. Unless you use vanilla, because that changes everything because there's alcohol in it. It has a really negative reaction to soap making. Lesson learned the hard way. Now it's not at trace anymore because we added that liquid, so I'm going to... At this point, you can either stick blend just a little bit or you can hand blend. It's totally...
So you can take it
off.
in and out of trace.
Mm-hmm.
You can get there and take it backwards.
Mm-hmm. If you catch it right at the beginning of trace, yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that either.
No.
I thought it was like a meringue, is the way I was thinking of it to be.
Kind of right at the beginning of a meringue. Okay, I'm going to stick blend just for a little bit. Here's also where I've accidentally pushed the button on the stick blender and then had to clean the seal. Okay, I feel like I'm done. Could you grab me another paper towel? Thanks. I'll just set this on the paper towel. I am going to unplug it so that I don't trip over anything.
Good idea.
Because that would be my next step.
You trip.
Okay. All right, I'm going to leave the goggles on just because I splash while I'm doing this. So now I'm going to pour it, before it gets too hard, I'm going to pour it into the molds. And I can still feel it. It's about 110 to 120 degrees. Ooh, I didn't make as much as I thought it made. So maybe this won't fill 2 molds. Okay. And it's getting thick already, as you can see. So I'm not as able to pour. Alright, ready for the next one.
Yeah, see, I thought you'd be able to fill 2.
That one's a little full. So I'm going to fill one of these.
So what is it? Is it similar to a cake, or I don't know what else I would describe it as, where it changes? Like, can you overfill or underfill a mold? You know,
No.
sometimes it sinks in the middle, or
No, you cannot overfill or underfill a mold.
that
Good
stays the same
question.
consistency.
Yep. Well, it doesn't stay the same consistency, but it stays the same height.
You know the right
Yeah.
words.
It just hardens. Right, exactly as it is.
Do you ever have any problems with like air pockets in there?
I have not. That's a super, super good question
Yeah.
because I have read some people say they don't use a stick blender because they don't want air pockets, but I've never ever had an issue.
Yeah, you would think it would incorporate some air.
It probably does, but I guess I've never run into problems. I think the only thing that you would have if you have a lot of air pockets would be you have a better chance of mold. Or
On the
your
inside?
your soap going rancid would be my guess. But otherwise,
Does that happen?
yeah, it does happen. When I first started, I was using, I'm not going to name a brand, but it was a very popular essential oil brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was using their essential oils, which got really expensive really fast, to scent my stuff. And every single batch I did with those oils went rancid, like within weeks. So
That's disappointing.
my take on that is that those oils that are essential oils are so much older than you realize that they're not fresh enough to be used in soap. And that's the same with any of the oils that we use. If the oil goes rancid, it really changes your soap. It makes they call them dreaded orange spots, and so you can see orange spots all over the soap. And my grandma would have that occasionally, and I think it's because sometimes they used like old oils from the kitchen that they couldn't cook with anymore, so they threw it in the soap, and they didn't care because it still cleans. It's rancid and it's ugly because it's got dreaded orange spots. Now I'm going to ask if you can spray some vinegar in here. Thank you. Okay, so we have made our soap.
Well, this is exciting.
Yeah. What happens next?
I don't know. You have to tell me.
So right now like I said, they're probably at about, I don't know, not by now maybe 110 degrees. There's still enough movement in them. They haven't hardened totally that you could put more swirls in the top or shapes, or you could add maybe lavender seeds or any kind of things on them you want. I don't, because this is a septic system and I don't want that stuff down my septic system.
Got it.
Plus, it's more functional for me. But what we are going to do so that it dries kind of at a more even temperature is we're going to put cardboard on top of it, and then we're going to surround it with towels.
Oh.
You don't always have to if you're in a warm climate. They say if it's anywhere between 70 and 80 degrees, you don't have to insulate, but I always have, and I don't know, I'm just paranoid if I don't. Sorry. So I'm just going to take old towels. Well, that cardboard just doesn't want to. Fine. And that way you're not getting cold drafts in it and it's able to dry and cure on its own. So what happens next is for this batch it'll be, because we're at 3:30 in the afternoon, so tomorrow night before I go to bed, I will take these out of the molds. These molds are easy because they unscrew and you just can pop them out. The sides come off, and then I'll set them on a wire rack. Mm-hmm. I will try to, depending on how hard and soft it is, if it's hard enough, I will try to slice it with these slicers right away tomorrow night, but otherwise I'll wait another day and then slice them, and then I'll place them on racks to cool for 4 weeks. Then,
Wow.
So that's the curing.
That is the curing, and that's bringing the pH level down as well, because they're very caustic and very alkaline right now, because the lye is still a little bit active.
Okay, so you've got this all wrapped up and bundled, waiting for it to kind of cool down just a little bit. What are the next steps, and then what happens?
Okay, well, tomorrow, the day after, like I had said, we'll cut that up. We'll get it out of the molds. We'll cut that up, and then we're going to let those cut bars sit for 4 weeks to bring down the pH level.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. Some people don't wait that long, but you can always test the pH as well, and I can show you that too. Would you like me to?
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we end up with after 4 weeks. This, I made a couple mistakes with this, so you can see right here that it's not the same color through and through. I added the buttercream scent to it late, and then I didn't mix it well enough, so it went mostly to the bottom. So you can see that was a mistake I made.
You can say it's a mistake, but you could also say it's artistic.
Right,
Absolutely.
Right. It's just a color.
And you can still use it.
Yes, it's fully usable. I also made some mistakes in cutting, so it got a little bit crumbled.
It's not mistakes, it's a learning process.
It's a learning process, that's right. And then I have pH strips so that I can test the pH. And so what we would need is some water. Can you grab a little bit of water? Just so that we can, I thought I had one that I was using.
Like, how much is a little?
Just a cap. I'm going to dip my finger in and get the soap wet. Here, this is the one I was using.
Okay,
Perfect.
well, yeah, sure is.
So we're going to get a little bit of the soap wet. And we're going to check the pH level.
You said some people don't test?
Some people don't test. They just automatically assume after 4 weeks it's good. But you can see there it's a pH level of 9.
Way at the end.
We want it to be between 7 and 10.
Oh.
Our skin has a pH level of 7.2.
So this is ready.
It is ready. It is ready. And
safe to use.
And it's ready and safe to use. Do we want to go into the sink and wash our hands
We
and check
do.
out the lather?
We sure do.
So some of the properties we're going to check for is how creamy it is, how hard the bar of soap is, and how many bubbles you get.
Okay, you guys, wow. We just took a little trip to the lavatory to wash our hands, and Heidi and I both are blown away by the texture.
Incredible texture.
The feeling. It is like so soft and so different than any other bar soap that I think I've ever used. I mean, we've all seen these at craft shows, and I don't think that we have appreciated them.
Never.
And we were just chatting a little bit, like there's so many different recipes, as Shelley had mentioned earlier, that they're not all going to have the same texture. They're not going to have the smooth or the silky or the scented or whatever. And it just really varies, and everybody kind of does their own thing. This particular recipe just happens to be your favorite. And I think, honestly, it might be mine. Like, the feeling is so nice.
It is, so we had an 87-year-old neighbor, Lou, that as you age, your skin is sensitive too, and I gave him a couple of bars, and he was really like, yeah, I don't know that I want to try your little hobby thing, whatever.
Right.
Well, he came over the next day, and he said, all I could do was sit in the shower and rub that bar of soap all over my body. He was so excited about it because it was so soft. It just, well, you said the same thing.
It's so soft.
The creaminess of this recipe is legendary.
And it really did surprise us both.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no idea what we were going to be doing today.
No.
I had said earlier how I thought maybe this probably wasn't for me, but honestly, after washing my hands, game changer. Mm-hmm. Now I kind of want to make it all and give it away and do all the things.
And kind of experiment.
Right.
Kind of experiment with different things.
I feel like this is something you would get into because you're
a little bit more.
You're a kitchen-y person. I am not.
It's really not that hard, especially if you don't use a recipe like that one, which we're using so many different oils. You can use 3 or 4 oils and
it doesn't have to be
you're
right. It doesn't have to be complicated.
I think the hardest thing needs to be your accuracy.
Right. You know. Which is weird considering, again, our grandparents weren't that keen on accuracy and they made it work. So I don't know.
So maybe it's not.
Or maybe I just over follow the rules.
Do you see yourself doing this?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe Shelley needs to come to our houses.
Yeah.
And do it again.
And do another trial in here. Well, Shelley, thanks so much for having both of us here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
To help with this. What an educational day. And we did share some laughs off screen as well, so we appreciate that. If you guys found this to be interesting and fun to follow along, but you maybe have some questions, because we certainly did, please put them in the comments below, and I'm not going to be able to answer them, but Shelly can.
I'll
So
try.
I will make sure to get your questions to her, or she can just log in too and see those questions as well. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.
Bye.